Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. As you might be able to guess from the settings we're in, it's DIY time, and it is actually a non-beauty DIY. Because Easter is around the corner and it is actually a German thing to have nice colorful eggs for Easter eggs. I want to do a natural tox-free egg coloring tutorial. Part of the video is gonna be an experiment. Actually, I'm doing some things today that I haven't done before, so kind of just trying out some hacks I found online, and part of the video is something I'm usually doing for Easter. So let me first introduce you to what I'm usually doing for Easter. So that is dyeing with red onion peels. So here I've got red onion peels. I'm usually dyeing with yellow onion peels. Something I also do is turmeric that will give yellow eggs, and I bought some fresh turmeric tea, so some fresh turmeric root. And just because I'm not entirely sure if you can everywhere get fresh turmeric root, I'm also trying, so to say, the beta group of eggs will have the turmeric in a powderized and dried form. And we're gonna try that as well, if that's gonna be a nice yellow as well. So that's a first for me. Usually fresh turmeric should work fine with yellow. What I have done also in the past, I just colored the eggs with food color. So we also will color a sample group with food color. And this is of course non-toxic, non-poisonous colors. I've checked the color ingredients in these. The food colors are like in my previous tutorials by PME. And yeah, that's what I did so far to get like really nice and colorful eggs. New in the experiment are gonna be the red cabbage. So apparently that is gonna give us a blue colored tone. And hibiscus leaves. To color the eggs, actually, when I would do that in Germany, I would use white eggs. In all my time here, I've never really given it a thought. I mean, I did some Easter egg coloring in the Easter time in the previous years as well, but I always stuck with the brown eggs, and that was kind of fine by me. So the average British organic egg is this color. And in Germany, we would always use, when we go for Easter egg dyeing, we would always use the white eggs. So I thought, all right, just let's pop to a bigger shop where they have a huge variety of eggs and just choose white eggs. So I went to Waitrose and I looked at the organic egg section, and there were no white organic eggs. So the best thing I could get, in fact, is a slightly, yeah, kind of lighter shade of brown, really, to be honest. So, I mean, you do see the difference, right? So this is what we're gonna work with. And then I also thought like, okay, let's look in the non-organic section. And in the non-organic section, I also only found brown eggs. And the only thing I found, interestingly enough, so this is actually now the refined version, because I did hand pick all the eggs. So I literally like made my own mixture. But guys, they are bluish. I really thought I could get white eggs, so we don't have white eggs. So in fact, I don't know how they're gonna turn out, but one thing for sure, we're gonna have blue eggs in the end, and brown eggs. And the rest we shall see. Right, so let me explain the principle. So the principle with the kind of vegetable-based dyes is that we actually cook the eggs with the coloring materials. So we're gonna cook the onion peels and like the other ingredients, we're gonna cook them on the stove with the eggs. If it's gonna be proper German Easter eggs, the egg yolk has to be blue-greenish, right? So we have to actually boil them for 30 minutes minimum. They're gonna be a bit like little stones, but they're like a power bar. Think of it like that. And actually the thing is, why we boil the eggs for such a long time in Germany is because in Germany it's very traditional, at least in my family, that you then, once you colored the eggs, that you put them in little nests, like nests with like fake grass and everything. You can even have real grass. And then you kind of put them all over the flat, and then it looks nice, like Easter and spring, and it's like decorated with flowers, and then you eat them over the Easter holidays, really. There's also a special way to eat them. In my family, we have like a special recipe for the dressing, and we have it with some salt, pepper, and mustard, and I think that was it. I might check with my mom again. Anyway, so I will get some pots now where the eggs are gonna be in, and we'll take you over to the stove. One thing I have to mention, we're gonna vary the times we boil the eggs in the color. This one here, it's gonna get like brown and not orange anymore if the egg is in there for too long. So some of the eggs I will just boil in normal water for a while, and then I'll add them to the colorant boiling mixture thing. Right, so let's get started. Yeah, and by the way, no one died. I'm wearing all black because it might get a bit messy with the colors. So just to recap after all my blah blah, we're gonna go through everything we need again. I think I haven't mentioned yet the vinegar I'm using. So I am adding to all the dyes, all the water I will boil my eggs in, vinegar, because that cauterizes the eggshell a bit during boiling, so it can actually take the color better. Then I of course forgot to mention something. One of my experiment ingredients will be beetroot. This is supposed to color eggs in a pink shade. And then you've seen already the red cabbage, which is supposed to give a blue color. The hibiscus, which is probably gonna be the most interesting one, as I found online any colors from a midnight blue over a grey, almost black color to a really dark and nice green, which is actually the color I am hoping to achieve. The ingredients I am already used to working with are the yellow onion skin, which is giving an orange to ochre tone, the red onion skin, which is giving a red to red brownish tone, and the turmeric, which is giving a nice vibrant yellow color. The first thing I do is add vinegar to all the pots I will boil the eggs in. I start with boiling some of the eggs in plain water. Those are the ones that I will add later to the onion skin dyes, so they don't get too dark in color. And I'll also use some of them to color them with the food color. The eggs I color with beetroot, I boil in the mixture right from the beginning, as I don't know how intense the color will be. Actually, the recipe I had said I should grate the beetroot, but I didn't do that because I didn't want to have all the mess in the kitchen. So I just chopped the beetroot, and that hopefully will work out as well. Meanwhile, I transferred some of the eggs I had pre-boiled in plain water into the red onion skin. Probably worth mentioning is I'd recommend to use old pots, or at least stainless steel pots, because if you have, for example, animal coated pots, the animal could get discolored. The eggs I am going to dye using yellow onion skin I transfer after about 20 minutes boiling in plain water into the water with the yellow onion skin and continue boiling them for the remaining time. Once they're done, these eggs have a nice orange to ochre brown. In fact, mine have been a bit too long in the dye, so I could have done with 5 minutes boiling in the yellow onion skin dye, which would have resulted in a lighter and brighter orange. Checking on the eggs in the red onion skin dye, we can see that these have now a nice dark red to red brown tone. I achieved this color by boiling them in the dye for roughly 20 minutes. My beetroot dye experiment, however, turned out to be a fail. After 30 minutes boiling in the dye, the only thing I can see is that my white egg looks now like my brown egg before, but apart from that there's not much of a pink color to see. I'll now use my food color to save the eggs and try to turn the color into pink. As from my experience, the eggs color best in the food color when still warm. I use a cast iron pot in a hot water bath to keep the eggs warm. Meanwhile, on the cooker, I am trying to turn those eggs into nice yellow eggs with fresh turmeric. I'll have them boiling in the dye for the entire time I'm boiling them. The same thing I am doing with ground dried turmeric powder. This is to compare the result to using fresh turmeric, what I'm usually doing. Now I'm getting to the dye I am most excited about, the hibiscus. When looking this up online, I found all sort of results from midnight blue over grey, almost black to green, so I'm really curious how this is gonna turn out. It looks so red or pink. I can't really imagine how this is gonna be another color in the end, but maybe that might turn my eggs pink finally. It definitely looks like a witch potion, as it's foaming like crazy. And the final dye I am trying is red cabbage, which is supposed to give a blue color. I have high hopes for that one. As you can see, the water is already kind of Smurf blue, so that looks like it could turn my eggs blue, or rather more blue than they are already. The fresh turmeric worked out brilliantly. As you can see, the white egg turned a nice yellow and the brown egg even turned into an orange shade. Sadly, my yellow egg cracked during boiling. Not much going on is with the eggs in the red cabbage. Those I'll save like the ones in the beetroot dye with some food color now. The hibiscus tea dye eggs are mysterious. So they look purple on the top, but when turning them around, not much seems to be going on. I took them out and I wanted to dye them with some food color, but when they dried, they developed this quite interesting purple shade. So you can see where they're still wet, they're kind of magenta pinkish now. And where they're dry, they have this purple shade with this really nice pattern. The next day I realized that overnight that changed again. The color grew still darker. I'll post a picture on my Instagram so you can see the final shade of those eggs. As I still want eggs in some more colors, I now go crazy with my food colors. In each dye I have 2 tablespoons vinegar, and this works best on eggs that are still hot and with warm water. Who's got the nicest Easter eggs? As you can see, I'm done with the eggs and they got pretty colorful. In fact, many of the plant-based colors did work out, and for some I just had a little help with my food colorings, and I'm gonna show you now which color did turn out how. I'm gonna start with the plant-based colors because I think that was the most interesting, because that's the kind of most organic way to do this. And I actually gonna start with the red onion peel. So with red onion peel, it's gonna be a really nice dark red brown. I think that must be the white one, and that was then the brown egg. So as you see, there's not really a difference in color, not much at least, and I really like this color. You can also alter the color a little bit if you put, during boiling, you put those eggs sometimes in the yellow onion peel bath. Just boil the eggs in normal water, let's say for 25 minutes, and then you just pop it at the very end in the red onion peel bath. Next we have here the yellow onion peel. So these are like kind of medium brown eggs, which is a bit surprising because usually I got them, I assume I just had them in for a little bit too long, and that's why they got a bit too brownish. But not a problem. It's still a nice color. And yeah, here it's the same basically. If you want them to be a little lighter in color, then you just easily boil them in the normal water bath first, and then at the last moment you add that to the boiling onion peel, yellow onion peel water bath. I also, with one of the batches, actually that's the ones which have been the entire time in the yellow onion peel bath, and I kind of scratched or tried to scratch the peel a little bit with the knife I had, and I wanted to make this kind of eggshell, bird eggshell effect. It kind of, well, here I scratched a bit too much, but it kind of worked, so this is kind of my artistic effect. These are now the turmeric dyed eggs, and this one is the one dyed with the fresh turmeric, and that one is the one with the turmeric powder. And I'd say the fresh turmeric, it's a bit more vibrant, the color, it's more of an orange. And this one is more kind of a yellow, but it's both really nice colors. The fresh one is just dyeing the eggshell apparently a little bit more. I obviously took care that I took identically colored eggs as far as I could. So yeah, the fresh one is a bit more intense than the dried powder turmeric. On the white eggs, this one is the turmeric with the dried powder, and this one is here the fresh turmeric, but it is the second one I did because the first one unfortunately cracked, so that would have been the first one. So as you can tell, this one is a bit more intensive than here the bottom one, and basically, so the fresh turmeric, it again is a bit more intensive on the egg, so this was already the second wash, and the dried powder turmeric is less intensive, but it's a really nice yellow as well. And then we get to the surprise part, which were the hibiscus leaves. And they turned out pretty cool. So the first ones I did were those two. So this is the brown egg, this is the white egg. And I mean, they are not green, not at all. But I mean, how cool do they look? I mean, they're like art. They're a piece of art, really. And then I did another one because I liked them so much. And that was basically when the leaves were even a bit more brewed. So this was a brown egg as well. And if you think about it, just see how much that changed color already. So this is kind of like a nice purple, like a really smoky, nice purple. So definitely not green. Although I can see that this kind of goes, like, even if you see, because that was one of the cracked ones, look at the cracks. So that kind of turns slightly greenish. So I could imagine that with doing something different that might have the potential to dye the eggs this kind of green color. However, I didn't manage to do so, but still, I really love those eggs. They're beautiful. The other two plant-based colors which I tried, so the beetroot and the red cabbage, unfortunately didn't work out quite well. So that's white egg in red cabbage, and as you can see, I mean, it was pretty blue before already, so it's a very faint light blue. Okay, I give it that. So it colored a little bit, but I mean, they were kind of bluish before, so if you think about it, it didn't really do that much to the egg. To the brown one, it didn't do anything at all, to be honest, or nothing visible. So I just took it and colored it in some food color, blue food color, and that turned out this really nice dark blue. Really happy with that. So the ones I tried with beetroot, they didn't really come out at all, as you could see. And I rescued them then with the food coloring I had, so I just put some pink food coloring in those, and I'm not entirely sure anymore, but I think that this one was the brown egg and this one was the white egg. But anyways, they both came out beautifully. And I also did a little bit rosé egg, kind of a pastel rosé color later, and it's a bit like an apricot rosé, which I did with, I think it was a brown egg, to be fair. Yep, it was a brown egg, so that might be this kind of apricot pastel effect. I also did one mixed egg, which I had first in the pink color and then in the blue one, and this is this kind of really cool spacey purple, not really purple, kind of a batik egg, so to say, a hippie egg. And I also did a light blue egg, and that's, by the way, the brown egg, which I rescued from the, what was it I rescued it from? Oh yes, from the red cabbage that was supposed to turn it blue, where there wasn't anything going on, and I rescued it to this beautiful dark blue egg. And then I dyed a bunch of green eggs. So the original green came out like this, and it's actually kind of this dark moss green, which makes sense because the color is called moss green, in fact, so that makes sense. So that would have been the color. And then I just added, I think, a little bit more yellow or blue even, and I just kind of got this a bit more aggressive, bit more pale green, and then I did like kind of a pastel green later on as well. So that's it. If you want to make the eggs more shiny, you can then polish them with some coconut oil. And I have to say that all the colors came out, especially the plant-based ones, after rinsing under cold water, so the egg will peel easier afterwards. So these colors from using, for example, the turmeric and everything, so that's been already rinsed with water, so it actually really sticks to the egg. And the other ones, they were cooked first, they were rinsed, then heated up slightly again, and then they come out like this. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're inspired to dye your own natural Easter eggs. And yeah, do let me know in the comments box below if you have any questions or if you have any tips. Yeah, if you know how I get to green with the hibiscus, or what else didn't work? How I get to blue eggs with the red cabbage, or how I get like a nice rosé with beetroot. If you know what I might have done wrong, let me know. And I'm gonna post some pictures on Instagram for the eggs, so you can actually see the true colors a bit better. I think in the photograph it might come out a bit better than here on the video. And if you like the video, why don't you give it a thumbs up? Look how my thumbs are discolored, isn't that funny? Or if you want to make sure that you don't miss any new videos, you can even subscribe. I see you in the next video, and now I'm gonna go and eat some eggs. Happy Easter. What else are we gonna need? I'm kind of thinking that I've forgotten something here right now. Of course, we need some eggs. Do you see the difference between the non-organic one and the organic egg? Well, these are like huge. Yellow onion peels, which are now all over me. Are they genetically modified? Mm-hmm. I've never seen blue eggs. I mean, like, can we just delete what I just said? Yeah. There were some which were really, really blue, and some which were kind of greenish, bluish, petrol. Oof. And I was like, okay, that doesn't look natural. And I really thought, are they doing that for Easter? I mean, did they color the eggs? So I asked the shop assistant, and he was slightly irritated by this question. He was already slightly irritated by me opening all the organic egg packages and kind of mixing my own selection. So may I just present to you this carefully selected. So look, this is the color you would usually get, right? So, but I did adhere to the large and to the medium ones, and anyway I bought the large ones. So I anyway would have, like, the other person would have made a bargain if they got a large one and the medium one. I don't know, in this light it doesn't really make a difference, but in real it does make a huge difference, because these are the very, very fair ones. So I actually handpicked also these eggs. So can you please appreciate for a moment how carefully I selected my eggs? Is the other selection. And he just looked at me in a really strange way, and then he explained to me that he thought that might be the natural color of these eggs. So if anyone wants to answer this question for me, because I've never really thought about it, I never bought these eggs before, I'm probably gonna die because they're not organic. And if anyone wants to answer the question for me whether these eggs are blue naturally or not, I don't know. I've got to report the first accident. So I actually broke my nail off when peeling the cabbage. Seriously? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm not gonna die of the non-organic eggs, but of cholesterol poisoning, because I've got here 24 eggs. 25 with my remaining last organic brown egg. I actually just went to buy them from the local organic shop, and I was pretty sure they wouldn't have it, and I asked and they said, yeah, of course. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, carefully